We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose here is to observe, to learn, to grow, to love, and then we return home.
In this video, I will be covering the importance of zoos and aquariums in rewilding efforts, as well as looking into some of the success stories of species conservation and what made them successful. When it comes to the importance of zoos and aquariums, one of the main ways that they contribute is through captive breeding. Many of these success stories that I will cover later involve animals that were bred in zoos and to grow this population before they could be reintroduced into the wild. However, beyond captive breeding, zoos and aquariums are important for many other reasons. They are important for animal husbandry and handling, enclosure design and construction, veterinary medicine, and animal transportation. Translocations and reintroductions wouldn't be possible without veterinary assistance and proper transport. In addition, zoos participate in field conservation and wildlife surveying, along with record keeping and research of animals in their care. It is incredibly important to understand an individual species if a reintroduction program is to be successful. The habitat for a reintroduction project must have everything that a species needs to survive and thrive. The research that zoos and aquariums conduct can provide the answer to what is needed in these environments. They are also able to monitor these animals and make sure that they are healthy and fit to be released back into the wild. Finally, zoos and aquariums are very important when it comes to conservation education and public engagement. They help to teach people about conservation, including what people can do to help and how their everyday actions can make an impact. The goal of many zoo programs and behind-the-scenes tours is to teach people about the animals as well as to inspire them to care. There are multiple success stories and why rewilding or reintroduction efforts are important in the right scenario. The one that immediately comes to mind for most people is the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone. This is basically the case of how important keystone predators are. The reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone National Park had a significant impact on the ecosystem. When you look at the food web, when the wolf makes a kill, scavengers can feed on the remains, and then insects can arrive, and birds will arrive to feed on the insects. The wolves also controlled the overpopulation of elk so that native plants could flourish instead of being overgrazed. In addition, the return of wolves also restored the balance of predator-prey relations. Wolves would prey on the overpopulated coyote population, and in return, there were more small rodents available for other predator species, such as eagles, owls, and foxes. In the UK, the reintroduction of beavers helped to recreate wetlands, increase biodiversity, and reduce flood risk. Only 14% of the rivers in the UK are in good ecological condition. The reintroduction of the beaver has already proven to be impactful on the ecosystem. They help to retain and release water, filter pollution, and reduce the flood risk. The dams, ponds, and canals that they can build help create thriving wetlands. The karner blue butterfly is an example of how ecosystem restoration is important for the preservation of a species. An important pollinator, the karner blues are under severe threat due to climate change. The larvae feed exclusively on wild blue lupine, and the current recovery plans include captive breeding and reintroductions, along with preserving the wild blue lupine and the butterfly's habitat. Habitat loss and degradation are currently the biggest threat to the species, and recovery plans are ongoing. In the Galapagos, the giant tortoise reintroductions have had a huge impact on the ecosystem. As they are the main seed dispersers of the Galapagos, their grazing helps to form the terrestrial ecosystem. While they are only at about 10% of their historic population, More than 9,000 have been reared in captivity and released to the wild. The goal of the program is to restore populations to their historic range and numbers. The bald eagle, the peregrine falcon, and even the osprey are all species in the U.S. that were threatened by pesticides and decrease of their habitats. These species have been bred in captivity and released into the wild, and many states now have healthy and growing populations. The Trumpeter swan is another successful reintroduction success story. And one of the reasons that they were so successful is because of the removal of invasive mute swans and the restoration of wetland habitats. In most states, the populations are currently self-sustaining, even though the management of the invasive species is still ongoing. The Przewalski's horse, or the takhi, is the successful reintroduction of the last wild horse. Many zoos contributed to the success of a breeding program and reintroduction. However, this is a complicated case, since the old diversity of the population differs greatly from the current population that was bred with selective traits by zoos. This leaves the question of what was truly preserved in this case, and how different the current population of wild horses is from the population that went extinct in the wild. Habitat loss and hunting nearly brought the whooping crane to extinction. Thanks to captive breeding efforts, all descending from 16 remaining birds, reintroductions have been fairly successful. The growth of the population is still ongoing, even though there is a long way to go for the species to be taken off the endangered species list. In Ukraine, water buffalo have been reintroduced. They have a huge impact on the environment as a large bovine. They are seed distributors, with seeds getting in their fur and being spread. They also open up scrubs and reed beds, creating pools that can be home to many insects, amphibians, and fish. As a project that has been started very recently in 2019, conservationists hope to see the positive impacts continue to grow. Similar to the water buffalo, in the U.S., the American bison recovery has been an ongoing project. Bison have a crucial role in the ecosystem. By grazing, wallowing, and trampling, they provide habitats for smaller species and create mosaics of different grass heights that allow for different species to thrive. They are also an important food source for large predators. The goal of the bison restoration in the U.S. is to allow the population to grow to a size where their ecological role in the ecosystem can be fulfilled. The black-footed ferret is another famous example of a successful reintroduction. Their recovery signified that the grassland ecosystem that they rely on is healthier and recovering as well. There are currently over 300 in the wild with 30 different reintroduction sites. Efforts are ongoing. The Iberian lynx is another successful reintroduction program. Through captive breeding, along with prey management and habitat restoration, this population has grown significantly. To help the success of reintroduced animals, efforts were made to increase the population of the main prey species, which is the European rabbit. This ensured a steady and stable food supply for the reintroduced lynxes. The lynx habitat was also increased from 19 square miles in 2005 to 1,282 square miles in 2024. The hellbender is the largest salamander in North America, and they are threatened by many things, including agricultural runoff, pollution, dam construction, stream erosion, and disease. Habitat restoration and increasing the water quality of their habitats are important factors in restoring the populations. Many zoos and aquariums also participate in captive breeding and reintroduction of hellbenders. Most zoos in Ohio, where I live, are actively involved in hellbender conservation and work to protect and restore their habitats, along with educating people about the species. The multiple cases that I talked about in this video show that wildlife reintroduction can be an incredibly useful and successful strategy for conservation. It is also an example of how important zoos and aquariums are to conservation efforts. In the final video of this series, I will dive into the importance of involving the local community and explore how everyday actions can help conservation efforts.